Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome at this training Scuba BGA buoy. Can everybody hear me? Maybe you can say yes or no in the question chat or in the chat box. The chat box is in the right corner below. You can click on the arrow and then the chat box will open. So I will unmute all, so you are also able to speak, and then I can hear you. I see question marks, but I don't know if everybody can hear me. Question panes. Yes, we can hear. Say okay, okay. Okay, excellent. Then I propose that we are going to start. So I will unmute everybody besides myself, of course. Let me have a look. Attendees. Yes. Okay. Welcome everybody. I've said. Welcome at this new introduction of one of our products. And I'm happy to introduce myself to you. My name is Erik Schrier. I am the product manager water quality at ICOCamp. And we have been busy last year to go for this new product. The product is called Scuba BGA buoy. It's a blue-green algae monitoring and alert system for improved decision making and treatment timing. And we hope to bring with this product a new family to our Scuba probes as a good solution for new upcoming customer questions. So let's get first through the content of this webinar. First, I'm going to bring you a short introduction about harmful algal blooms. Then I will tell you some more about the product Scuba BGA buoy, his unique buying points, also some accessories. Where to find the data in a portal, in a web portal, who are our customers for this new buoy, and also pricing. Then followed by maintenance, calibration of the buoy, product information, and also we did a pilot to test this buoy. During the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. Winnie Ohang is sitting beside me, and she will follow all the questions. Afterwards, there is opportunity to answer the questions, so we collect all the questions in the chat box. Okay, first question we have to answer ourselves: why monitor for algae? You see on the right side a picture of a satellite image, which is showing the intensifying phytoplankton blooms in Earth's coastal oceans. And what we see is the green coloring of algae blooms. Algae blooms have boomed worldwide, as I found in some articles on internet, and I picked out 3 of them. the climate change is likely at least partial to blame for an uptick in the size and frequency of algae blooms in parts of the world oceans. So you can see that climate change brings also more algae blooms worldwide. In another article, they mentioned that perceived global increase in algae blooms is attributable to intensified monitoring and emerging bloom impacts. And also in a research article of the Global Change Biology, Wiley, we found an article about global divergent trends of algae blooms detected by satellites during 1982 till 2018. And from that article, it became clear that a lot of algae blooms could not be detected in a lot of small lakes and ponds. So that brings me up to that satellites are mainly used for large seas and oceans, but not for the smaller lakes and ponds we have in residential areas, for instance. Another question, why monitoring for algae? Here's some background about algae. At the larger system, we have photosynthetic organisms divided into plants and algae. And algae are more subdivided in macro algae and micro algae. And the micro algae are, for instance, the red, the brown, and the green algae. At the microalgae, we have a dividing of prokaryotes and eukaryotes. And the prokaryotes, one of them is the cyanobacteria. And at the eukaryotes, we have the dinoflagellates, the diatoms, and also the green algae. And here you also see the picture of Natripiluca, and that's a red-colored algae. Harmful algae blooms, how do they look like? A picture of algae growth is shown in this graph. And what you see is here the growth of algae starting at an exponential phase, so following by a linear phase, and follow up by a stationary phase. It could take place in days. And also you see that can take place inside 10 days. So they grow fast, taken over in days, and early treatment can stop a bloom. Latest treatment gets harder, it may fail as concentrations rises. So it is important to early treat to stop the bloom, and therefore we looked into an instrument that is easy to use and also can early warn for the bloom. We have special attention to recreational areas and drinking water. And for both, there are goals set. For the recreational areas, the goal is to keep the lakes open for recreation and concentration below a certain threshold. The example here given is 25 microgram per liter, but we know, for instance, in the Netherlands, they use a lower threshold. And that's 12 microgram per liter. So it depends on the local law and also the policy, which threshold it will be used to take action for recreational areas. For drinking water, the goal is to reduce treatment costs and taste and odor issues to protect public health. What are the causes of harmful algae blooms? The harmful algae blooms need sunlight, slow or not moving water, and nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus. Nutrient pollution from human activities, for instance, sewage overflows, agriculture, industries, makes the problem worse, leading to more severe blooms that occur more often. And here in the pictures, 2 examples are shown. Nutrients from the farming and also nutrients out of the discharge of sewage overflows and industries. What are the effects of harmful algae blooms? They produce extremely dangerous toxins that can sicken or kill people and animals. They create dead zones in the water that kills fishes and plants, raise treatment costs for drinking water, and also hurt agriculture, industries, tourism that depend on clean water. For instance, you can imagine that when cattle want to drink and water is extracted from the surface water and it is contaminated with algae, then it could be toxic for the cattle. We also see more and more upcoming warning bulletins along the coast, the line of recreational waters, which warns you for blue-green algae to keep out of the water. Also, more and more we see blue algae blooms in cities. More and more people like to live along the water, but that could have also the disadvantage when there is an algae bloom. What are the current monitoring methods? They are divided in manual sampling, satellite monitoring, and sonde buoys. And by each of them, I have written some highlights and challenges. So starting at the manual sampling, the highlights are many tools are available. It's highly accurate when sending samples to a lab, but the challenges are maybe difficult access to sample area, but also difficult to get enough measurements in enough locations. And if we look to satellite monitoring, the highlights are effective for long-range forecasting, free data available with Cyanap. And the challenges is that there is only 95% of water bodies are too small for accurate sensing by satellites. And also another remark is, and the challenge is that the satellite monitoring is not as frequent as we want to have to quickly react onto an algae bloom. The third one, the sonde buoys, highlights of them are real-time sensing of algae pigments, measuring of pH and oxygen and conductivity and, for instance, temperature. But the challenges are they have high entry costs, high assembly is required, and also maintenance is required. And high entry cost because of also installing the probe onto a buoy or another stationary monitoring point. Disadvantages of using a buoy is the weight of it. It could be heavy weighted, that you have to carry it with 2 people into a boat or putting it back into the water, and that costs time and labor time is costly. So in that case, we were looking for a more simple option to an alternative of the buoys. If we look how algae measurements work, it works with fluorescence optics. The principle is quite easy. The pigments in algae fluoresce. They absorb one specific color and emit a tiny amount of another color. This is shown in the picture in the graph you see here on the right side. It's telling us about excitation and emission of spectral profiles. And when a sensor is beaming light on algae, then there is a certain absorption, also called the excitation of the algae pigment, and they send an emission, a fluorescence emission back, and that is what the sensor gets back and translated into an algae concentration or fluorescence units. The sensor sends out one color as said and reads another color. The challenge with this technology of fluorescence optics is that the emitted light is swamped in other light. So you could have low signal to noise, and also you can have some spectral overlap in between the absorption spectral and also the fluorescence emission spectral. Limitations due to biology of this measuring technique are the state transitions. So that means the form of the algae. Also, is it a free algae cell or is it a colonizing, so that it has more cells together. Also, another limitation is non-photochemical quenching, and last one, photo inhibition. So if you work with fluorescence optics, then you have to also be aware of these challenges and limitations due to biology. Why the Scuba BGA buoy? We saw at a lot of customers that there were a need for, and also distributors that there were a need for early warning system for harmful algae blooms and water pollutants. As said, there's now a cheap Scuba probe available in the current Scuba family for monitoring harmful algae blooms and water pollutants and projects. Also, they asked for an early warning system for pond and lake management, solar powered and easy and quick installation. So we are proud to launch this product this week, and in the other part of the April we will launch also accessories and product information. Here we have a picture of the Scuba BGA buoy. The key measurements that the Scuba BGA buoy can do is measurements for green algae via chlorophyll A. Also blue-green algae, also called cyanobacteria via phycocyanin. It can measure turbidity, for instance, to predict and monitor effects of runoff. And temperature is also measured, and also sunlight. Wind and rain are not measured, but are taken from the weather forecast internet service. So you see, you have actual measurements from the buoy in combination with an internet service for weather forecasting. The first question we had was, okay, what is the capability of the buoy to measure for chlorophyll and phycocyanin, the parameters for green algae and the blue algae. And we have done some lab testing, and these are data from the Miami University based on rhodamine WT. And that's an equivalent for chlorophyll A and phycocyanin. If you look into the left graph, for instance, you see that there is also a strong correlation between the chlorophyll A equivalent and the chlorophyll measured. So that tells us that there's a strong correlation in between those two parameters, what also is the case for the phycocyanin, which is a measure for the blue-green algae, the blue algae. Also, this for the phycocyanin, there's also a strong correlation with the phycocyanin equivalent and the measured phycocyanin expressed in RFU, and RFU is the abbreviation for reflective fluorescence units. Here are some other lab testing results from the Miami University with live spirulina, which is a type of algae. On the left side, the graph where the correlation is between the spirulina extracted against the measured chlorophyll in RFU. And on the right side, you see the phycocyanin expressed as RFU in correlation with the spirulina extracted phycocyanine. Also for these both graphs, there's a strong correlation between the extracted chlorophyll A and the measured chlorophyll and phycocyanine. And the correlation is more than 99%. Based on these graphs, the buoy gives us a big trust in a good measurement tool. From there on, we got further to explore this project. Here we have an example of a time measurement from phycocyanine and chlorophyll A, where the blue line is the chlorophyll data series and the green one is the phycocyanine. There were two treatment times to treat the algae bloom, and what you see is that after 3 treatments, the algae bloom was under control. Between the second and the third treatment, there was a new small bloom, and this one was also under control after the third treatment. The buoy has also a turbidity measurement, and that can be used for events where sediment flow is after rain. You can imagine that after a heavy rainfall, there could be a sediment flow coming out of a river or coming out of sewage overflows. And the left picture is showing a sediment flow following a significant rain event. On the right side, we have a graphic which show this event based on the turbidity measurement expressed as NTU. What you see is that after the rainfall, the turbidity is increasing, and also after a smaller but second rainfall, the turbidity increases more. So this gives you a good indication what is the effect of heavy rainfall on sediment flow in rivers and in ditches. Okay, then you have all the measured data, but where to show them? We have therefore a powerful dashboard, which is easy to use as an interface. It streams all the data live, displays rich graphs and color-coded gauges, sends you customized notifications at the action thresholds, evolves predictive analytics, and also have accurate algorithms for blooms identification, and even algorithms to predict the algae bloom. It shows a real-time map of all your buoys to get a 24/7 lens into all your water assets in one central location. It also tracks the GPS coordinates, so you always know where your device is. And it's not only tracked in the dashboard, but also the buoy itself has a GPS tracker. So in case somebody is taking away the buoy, then you can always track where your buoy is based on the GPS coordinates in your dashboard. Also, the data are easy to download by a CSV file in this dashboard, and you can import your CSV file in Excel, for instance, and make there a nice other graphic for instance, reports. It's really easy to use. We have done it in the pilot, and it's successful. How does the Scuba BGA buoy looks like, and what are the specifications? The buoy measures every 30 minutes. There's a solar panel which runs the buoy for 2 to 3 weeks in the dark from 100% charge, depending on water temperature. You can imagine that in cold waters, the charge will decline faster than in warm water. The buoy sends the data every 2 hours to the data dashboard. But in an event that there is a loss of internet connection, then the data are stored in the memory of the buoy. And after 4 or 6 hours, it will pick up all the data from the data logger and will send it to the dashboard. So you are secure that the data always coming into your dashboard. In the table below, you see all the parameters that the buoy can measure, and also the ranges and the resolution. The weight of the buoy is 3.6 kilogram and 8 lamps lbs. The diameter is 35 centimeter, 14 inch, and the height is 80 centimeters, 7 inch. Some unique buying points of the buoy. It has low entry cost. It can be installed in 30 minutes by non-technical personnel. It has large-scale data and actionable insights. As mentioned, also a powerful dashboard. Reduced time, and it has 3 warranties like the other probes we have in the Scuba family for the multi-parameter probes. And privacy and security are guaranteed. In the next sheets, I will explain some more in detail the unique buying points. Lower entry cost. The Scuba BGA is priced to be deployable regardless of budget. Using new hardware and software advancements, we are able to provide the Scuba BGA at a surprisingly low cost. So you can choose the subscription model and pay as you go, or choose to pay upfront. Even we have the possibility to rent the buoy at Royal Eikenkamp. Installing the buoy in 30 minutes by combining all required hardware, software, and cellular connection into a lightweight, streamlined unit. Scuba BGAs can be deployed in an hour by just about anyone. As mentioned, the weight is 3.6 kilogram. Simply place it in your waterway, clip it to a dock or anchor, and start sending data to your web dashboard using solar power. Always, if you clip it to a dock, be aware that you have some distance from the dock to prevent shadow working on the solar panel, but also on the sensors. Because when you are close to a dock, there could be less algae than in open space in the surface water. So if you're installing along a dock, then beware of that circumstances. The large-scale data and actionable insights. The buoy monitors the data and notify you when important events occurs. Once action thresholds are reached, deploy your personnel for follow-up or to treatment only when needed, and saving your needless trips to sample manually. Reducing time. For sure, the buoy reduces time for sampling and analyzing the water in the laboratory and for making management decisions. If you count for all the samples, the measurements the buoy takes, and you transform it into hours spent for manual sampling, then it's much more costly than the buoy does his measurements. Privacy and security guaranteed. You can own the Scuba BGA buoy or rent it, as said. The Scuba BGA data is encrypted during transmission, stored in secure servers, and is never shared with anyone unless you opt to share it. You can download the data easily to a CSV file, as mentioned, at any time. If you have specific private data transfer and storage requirements, such as file transfer, API, or using your own database, we can customize a solution for you. The buoy has also some accessories. One of the main accessories is the accessory set for the BGA buoy, consisting of an orange live buoy, some stainless steel wires with clips to mount the BGA buoy into the orange live buoy. There's also in the set an anchor line with a length of 30 meters. That's the color white-black cord. And there's also an anchor bag that you can, a black anchor bag, which you can fill with sand. And it has a 6-meter anchor line to connect it to the buoy. In this case, with the anchor set, you can have a maximum anchor line of 30 meters plus 6 meters of the anchor bag. So in total, a 36-meter anchor line, which you can also choose to lengthen it with another 30 meters to 69 meters. Our experience is that most of the waters are not deeper than around 60 meters, but exceptions excluded. There are also 3 other accessories, like the lithium-ion battery pack. You can buy it, but we have to change it because of the water tightening of the buoy. So if you have, in any case, an empty battery, you can ask Royal Aquacamp to change the battery pack. Other accessories are the replacement of the brush for the buoy and also a black bucket to calibrate the Scuba BGA buoy. As said, we have a powerful dashboard. It's also called a web portal, data web portal. It's easy to use. It's clearly on the dashboard. You see a chart where you can choose it, a chart or the satellite image. You can also see the online status and the signal strength on the top and the battery status. And that's really easy when it is in the field, so that you can see, okay, does it operate well or not? Also on the location, the weather forecast is the actual and the forecasting is showed. And as you see here, it's from one of the pilot occasions in the Netherlands where we did a pilot with the buoy. Also, the key parameters are shown. You see in the dashboard the half circles. These are the actual measurements. For instance, the phycocyanin, the chlorophyll, and the turbidity. But it is also possible to see graphs with the trending and the historic time series. Also, you can set, you see the alert settings and the clock image or icon is used to set up the alert settings. You can see the web portal, of course, on your PC or laptop, but it is also possible to see it on your telephone or your tablet, so a mobile device. That is the picture which I put here. As I told, also the time series can be shown for the measured parameters. So here's an example of phycocyanin and chlorophyll A. You can show the historical data series, but also the trending data. And you can also check in a box for the field calibration or more detailed information. Here you see some other buttons to set up some other options, like calibration, like downloading for a CSV file, or to set up other settings. For instance, if you want to change the Celsius into Fahrenheit. Below the graphics I've shown in the sheet, in sheet 4 last sheet, there is also training data for the water temperature, turbidity, but also for the battery and solar panel, and also for the signal strength of your modem and the ambient solar light. So the last two mentioned graphs can be used to see what is your performance of your buoy. To set up the alerts in the data web portal, I've made a screenshot where you can set up, for instance, for the water temperature, the alert levels. As you can give in the low limit, and the high limit, and do a check in the box to allow email notifications. And after you have filled in all, you can click on OK, and then at that time it is set. Also, care parameters like turbidity, blue algae, green algae, and battery status, but also sunlight. You can put in alerts for it to be early warned for the situation. Who are the customers for this buoy? I think mainly the water boards and the municipalities, because water boards are taking care of the water in the water catchment for farmers, but also the municipalities who takes care of channels, but also water units inside villages and cities. As shown in this picture, where blue algae blooms can give odor or toxic effects to children or animals. Also, lake associations and holiday parks and private pond owners are our customers, to be warned for is the water quality good enough to swim in, or to let the animals swim in, like dogs or cats or even birds. And the last one mentioned as a customer are the water utilities, who has the large basins where they store the supply for producing drinking water. And these customers can also be helped with this kind of buoys. Then the pricing of the Scuba BGA buoy. We have three options. The first one is shown as article number 18, 11, 15, and 51. It's the A version based on a low investment. So as you can see, the investment is €1,371 with a yearly subscription of €2,479. And we have also put a star after the subscription yearly. And that means that the subscription can be stopped after each year. And that gives you the flexibility to use the buoy for 1 year, then 1 year put it on stock, and then the year after you can take it back from stock and put it in the water and take a new subscription. So after each year, you can make the choice to stop your subscription or to start it. The second version option is the Scuba BGA Buoy B, based on a low subscription but a high investment. The investment costs are, in that case, €10,275, and the yearly subscription is then €306, and that's on a yearly base. And the last option is the rental option, the rental Scuba BGA buoy, and that has a monthly cost of €325. Pricing of the Scuba accessories is not yet being finished. We will try to finalize it before the mid of April. We are running to the end of the process, so we expect that it will be final before the mid of April. What are the delivery times of the Scuba BGA buoy? For sales is the delivery time 4 till 6 weeks. And for rental, we have made two delivery times. In the Benelux, we can deliver quicker for 1 week. And the rental in Europe and international, we have set that on 2 weeks. How to maintain the buoy? During the monitoring season, easily by an automatical wiper system. As you see on the right, we did a pilot, and after we finished the pilot, we saw that the window where the sensors are behind was still clean, but all the other part, the bottom part of the buoy was fouled. Especially with iron-rich water, you can have this kind of pictures. But we were happy that the window was clean after 4 months of piloting. It's also possible to clean with a soft sponge or a soft brush after the monitoring or even during the monitoring season. How to calibrate the buoy? The frequency is 1 per year for normal use. We advise that if you if it will be used at drinking water utilities, then a frequency of 1 per 3 months is advised. Which methods are available for calibration? There are 3. The simplest one is the field measurement result with a hand device. For instance, shown in the picture, an algae torch can be used. The algae torch measures the total algae built up of the cyanobacteria and also the green algae. And also the cyanobacteria, the concentration is measured separately. The second method is to calibrate with fluids. The blue algae and the green algae sensors are calibrated with rhodamine WDI of dye 2.5%, where you can make a dilution from a dilution series to measure. The turbidity calibration fluid is 4,000 NTU, which you also can dilute to set up a calibration. The last method is a laboratory result of a field sample, which you can give also into the web portal and connect the RFU result to your laboratory result. Here an example how to calibrate via a field sample. You can change the relative fluorescence units into microgram per liter for the blue-green algae, so the phycocyanin, and the green algae measured by the chlorophyll A. On the right side, I've made a picture of a pull-down menu. When you click on the bottom to calibrate the device, then this is shown. You can give in the sensor which you want to choose to calibrate. In this case, the phycocyanin. You can give in the calibration date, calibration time, and also the result of your field sample. After filling in, you can push the blue button, check calibration. At that time, all the measurements will be connected to microgram per liter. So you measure in RFU, and then you get a transformation into microgram per liter. And as shown in the picture on the left corner, the cyanobacteria were 18.5 microgram per liter, which I've put into the program in the web portal. The calibration with the fluids, it goes in 4 steps. I've mentioned the steps here in general, but in the manual, all the steps are described in detail. So yeah, from the manual, it is easy to do the calibrations. I said 4 steps. The first step is calibration in the zero solution, called solution 1. It's a pure deionized water solution, and it is used to set up the 0 point. The second one is calibration in the phycocyanin high solution, called solution 2, and that's a dilution of a rhodamine WT solution. The third step is the calibration in the chlorophyll A high solution, called solution 3, and that's a dilution of rhodamine solution. And then the last step, the fourth one, is the calibration in the turbidity high solution, called solution 4, and that's a dilution of the turbidity solution. As said, we have done a pilot together with a Dutch customer, the waterboard Rivierland, and we were happy that they asked us to come up with the buoy at the water catchment inlet in the harbor in a small village in Hedel. There occurred some algae, and to monitor the bloom, they asked us to put in the buoy at the inlet of the catchment. So we put in the Scuba BGA. Also, each week, the waterboard did some measurements with the algae torch, and at the same time, they took also some laboratory analysis. The results of the algae torch and the laboratory are still at the waterboard, and yeah, we will ask them to send them over to us to connect it to our Scuba BGA results. Here's a graph where I plotted the pilot results of the Scuba BGA buoy. In this graph, you see the blue algae, the green algae, and the light. The blue algae measured by the phycocyanin is colored in green, the chlorophyll A in blue, and the light in orange. The algae measurement results are plotted on the left y-axis, and the light is plotted on the right y-axis. And what you see, we started at the end of August, the 26th of August, and we did the pilot till the end of September. And in between and around the 5th of September, there was an algae bloom where you can see that the chlorophyll A concentrations and also the phycocyanin concentrations were rising, and that took some days. And after approximately 2.5 to 3 weeks, the algae bloom was not really gone, but it was less intensive than before. And why was it intensive in this period? Because it was a hot summer and a hot after summer. So you see that in this case, the buoy worked excellent to monitor the trend of the algae bloom. Here I have a graph of the results for light and battery. So to monitor the performance of the buoy, and the battery is the volts is measured by the volts, and it's plotted on the left y-axis, and the light that has been measured is plotted on the right y-axis. And what you see in the blue line, so the panel volts, is that the millivolts were around 20 millivolts for the panel, and that stay almost around 20, but it didn't lower much. But if it was lowered, then it was caused by cloudy weather, so less sunshine. And at that time, you also see that the light is less intensive than at the sunny days. We have also made some product information, a brochure that will be finished before mid of April this year. We will launch the website tomorrow. The manual, we are busy to finalize it in Dutch and in English before mid of April. And the manual in French and German will be finished in Q2 or Q3 this year. The web portal is going live before mid of May, and then the web portal to show the data. So at this moment we are working hard on it to get it live in mid of May. In the Q2 and Q3, we're going to make some instruction videos about the calibration and also how to install the buoy in the water. But also don't forget the web portal. It is also important to make therefore an instruction video that you know, okay, what kind of buttons do I have and what does it mean? We all describe it also in the manual, so that it will help you to get a good performance of your buoy. If you need any support for sales, you can call our inside sales department. And if you have really expert questions, then you can call me as a product manager. I will also assist the inside sales if they have questions. So yeah, please come up if you have questions, then we are happy to answer them. If you have some service questions about the buoy, then you can call our service department or email them. So I think now we are coming to the end of our webinar. So if you have any questions, maybe you have already put some in the chat box. So I will look to Winnie at this point. Winnie, do we have already some questions?
No, not yet. I will unmute you all. So if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute all attendees or put it in the chat box, question box.
You have unmuted all attendees?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So if you want to put in a question,
you can speak, you can type in. We are here to help you. Okay. Thank you. We've got one question. How about growth of the solar panel?
Growth of algae on the solar panel? Or what do you mean with the growth on the solar panel?
Can you answer the question? How do you mean by that? Can you elaborate a little bit about your question?
Yeah, maybe that Float mentioned about, for instance, bird poop, which of course can occur. But in that case, yeah, if there's a lot of growth of dust on the solar panel, you are mentioned by the solar intensity. So the sunlight, and that gives you also an indication. Okay, will it be foul or dirty? Or not. And our experience at the moment that after 4 months of doing a pilot, there's hardly any growth on the solar panel. But for sure, there could be, if there are a lot of birds in the water, there could be some poop on the solar panel, of course. But the solar panel has a width and a length of approximately 20 centimeters. Yeah, pollen or dust or other, yeah, that could happen. but it's not really that it will give a limitation on the solar power.
Okay, I hope this answers you, Claude. I've got another question. Is this only for fresh water?
No, you can also use it in brackish water and salty water, so in seawater. But in that case, you have to also pay attention for cockle and mussel growth. And if you are in circumstances that you have a lot of growth of that kind of organisms, then we advise to use copper tape, which you can put onto the buoy. But mainly it is used in fresh and brackish water.
The transmission data is by GPS modem. Is possible use satellite modem for it?
For sure, it's the GPRS connection. I'm not sure if satellite modem is possible, but that's a good question, and we have to look at it. But what I know is that the GPS modem is the modem for the connection and to transmission the data.
Okay, and then, okay, so can I change the setting, the buoy from the data to web portal? So can I change the setting in the buoy?
What do you mean by the setting the buoy from the data web portal? Setting the buoy from the data web portal. Yeah, you can extract the data from the web portal by a CSV file that you can import in Excel. I don't know if that is what you mean. The settings on the web portal itself are fixed. So I hope that this will answer your question. Okay, I see. There's a fixed measurement frequency of every 30 minutes, and that can not be length or shortened. Now, so there's fixed 30-minute measurement cycle, and that is based on the experience we have. Mainly, 30 minutes is enough to follow the algae bloom growth.
So every 30 minutes, you receive the data, you measure it, and then you send it every...
No, every 30 minutes, I have one measurement.
Every 30 minutes, you have one measurement.
Yeah. And that's not an average of all the measure of 30 minutes measurements, but just every 30 minutes, there's one measurement taken. And just before the measurement, the wiper is going around at the window, so that you are sure that the window is clean.
Okay. We've got another question from Void, Holland.
Yeah, I already answered that.
That one already.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, yeah.
Do we have more questions here? You may raise your hand, you may unmute yourself to ask the questions.
So maybe, Winnie, in the meantime, we can also say that we put on all the information on Ready, and also afterwards we can share this webinar presentation and also the presentation itself. So all the information can be found at Ready, and of course also the product information can be found on our web portal.
Yes. So make sure that you are subscribed on the Ready platform. If you don't have access code, please contact us and we will grant you the access for it.
Yeah. I see that there's also another question from Kadir. Dashboard is different than Data Viewer ASV web portal. Yes, it is. For this year, it will be different because we want to introduce it this year. And we work with an ICOCAM branded web portal. But later on this year, and I think next year, we will go into a new ICOCAM platform. and so that it will be also our web portal. And I think that answer is good enough for you, Kadir, and if not, then raise another question. Another question coming from Salvatore Di Giovanna. The buoy have a data logger inside? Yes, it have. So if the buoy lose connection for 1 or 2 hours or 4 hours, then the data will be stored in the logger. And after the connection has been set again, then the data will come in into the web portal. So yes, there's a storage. So there's also a backup for losing connection in areas where you have not a stable internet connection.
That goes to the next question from Kadir. Can we install our SIM card in Turkey?
No, that's not possible. We work with the SIM card of our manufacturer, and that's fixed in the buoy. So yeah, despite it's not possible.
Which means we manufacture everything, we put everything inside the buoy, and we are ready to deploy locally.
Yeah, right. And it's a total solution to quickly install the buoy instead of using our normal equipment like the GPUs, like the Prime Plus model, where we have that flexibility. But at this moment, we have not the flexibility in this buoy. For sure, it is a good question, and we will we will take it into account. So yeah, maybe next year we will look at this possibility if it is possible. Another question came from Frood, eSIM. I don't know what you mean by eSIM. Maybe you can explain it.
I think Freud meant like, are we using any eSIM in our SIM card in our buoy?
I don't really know. I have to check that. Yeah, we have to check that. But then maybe you can explain what you mean by eSIM.
But you can also unmute yourself to speak up.
Electronic SIM card like the new modem. Good question. I don't know the answer. We will look at it and come up with an answer back. Yeah, so all the questions which raise up in this webinar, but also the webinar we had this morning for some other distributors, we will put it on already, so that everything will be clear how to handle with these questions. I think all the questions has been made, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. So, there's another question, Kadir. There's a limitation using foreign SIM cards in Turkey. We have to use our SIM card as in GTTS modem, so we have to find solution to this. If you send my SIM card, can you install it? Good question. We will have a look at it, Kadir, because we want to prevent that you can't sell this buoy in Turkey. So we will take this into account, and we will come up with an answer on that. That will need some time.
First of all, we need to get familiar with the buoy, look into the specification, and then we look into the possibility for localization. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So make sure again, subscribe to our website, and then specification manual, YouTube channel, YouTube videos will be available soon.
Yeah. Okay, so if there are no any questions anymore, Winnie and I would like to thank you for attending. I hope you enjoyed it for this new project. And I wish you all a good working day for the ones who have to start it yet. And enjoy your evening for the ones who can finish their working day. And again, thanks for joining. And we will look up to see your sales questions.
Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.